Hey everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. So by now, the final episode of the 870 build has posted, and you guys know, hopefully if you're watching this video, you've watched that one, so you know that we're not done yet. That was really unfortunate, and I kind of want to talk about that. I haven't torn the saw down yet. When I do, I'll get some better close-ups of that crack and what's going on in that crankcase and why, you know, back in the day, guys who were good at gas welding probably could weld that magnesium case without burning it up. Again, I'm not that guy. I'm not set up with torches here. It's just not a thing. So it's pretty much not usable the way it is. And that's really what I want to talk about here, is what to do and how to handle it if you get a part that just doesn't cut the mustard. Something goes wrong. Whether you bought it from me, you bought it from somebody on eBay, somebody on Facebook, you know, where you buy it matters. Truthfully, it does. It matters as to whether you can expect a response or not. Of any type, good, bad, indifferent. So, for starters, I did buy that on eBay, a very well-known seller. And when you look at some of that seller's feedback, there's a fair number, no, I take that back. Compared to the number of positive feedback numbers, pretty minute. Realistically, very minute, the folks that have had a problem. And usually it's, hey, this didn't fit, this or that, email didn't get a response. That was not my experience. Now, that may not be indicative of average, but it certainly wasn't my experience. I took snippets of that video, got some pictures of it, and then attached the video link and just sent an email, hey, got this part, really appreciate you shipping it fast, but once I got it all together, had a runnability issue, pressure tested it, found this crack in the crankcase, and I just don't think this part is usable. And that's where I left it. And to be truthful, I considered not even sending it because, like I say, I bought a ton of parts and I want to continue buying parts. When you find a good source, you find a good source. You don't want to screw that up. But I went ahead and hit send. That was a Saturday night, okay? Wasn't an hour later, got a very friendly response. Wow, I can see how that would get missed. Yeah, start a return process and we'll kick you a refund. Okay. So I did that. I started it Saturday night, went to bed. By Sunday morning, there was already a refund there. And it wasn't forced by eBay. That wasn't what it was. So that worked well for me. Now, is it because of the channel? Maybe. I mean, that's certainly a possibility. But in general, the entire world has gotten kind of crazy. And I'm going to hone that in onto one point. The average consumer, and I'm this way too sometimes, we've gotten so damn demanding that we almost don't give somebody a chance to make it right. Now, if you give them that chance and they don't take it, that's a whole different issue. But I really think if you've got a transaction that goes sideways, excuse me, with me, you get a part, it doesn't work, I've missed something, it's broken somewhere, got damaged in transit. I mean, I try to be as clear as possible in my email, my order confirmation email. Now, I know next to nobody reads those, but big old bold print. If you have any problems, email me, and I'll make it right. I've mentioned it before when I go through item reviews, not as often as I should, but I'll find something of, oh, this didn't work, this didn't fit, and they'll leave a 1-star review on it, and it's like, God, if you just would have emailed me, I'd have refunded it, I would have worked with you, figured out the right part. You know, it's weird. We've gotten keyboard warrior-ish, but we don't want to actually talk to people. And I get it, I'm kind of that way, my whole phone thing. But damn it, you guys that email me all the time, you know damn good and well that I respond to those emails. Might it take a day? Yeah, it might. Not usually, but it could. But I will get back to you, and especially, somebody who reaches out and is polite about it. Now there's a key right there. I'm going to respond to everything because that's just the way I was raised. That's the belief I have. You go on eBay, you buy something from somebody who may or may not know what they have. Let's be real. There's a lot of people that will splat a saw apart and sell the parts. They may advertise it wrong. It may be fitting a Super XL-12 automatic when it's a red saw, and I'm not going to go down that rant, but you know what I mean. They're just going to look around a little bit. I don't know what the hell that beeping was. That was really strange. They're going to look around a little bit. They're going to get a little information together, and here it goes. Okay. Now, if a similarly unfamiliar buyer is looking for a part and they end up getting the wrong one, now you've got two sources or two folks who have maybe a lighter amount of information. And if the person just goes in guns blazing, hey, this was a false advertisement, this doesn't fit, I want a refund, that immediately puts somebody on the defensive, okay? Even if it's true, even if it's 100% true, how you say it matters. I mean, I think we all probably heard that as kids. It's not what you said, it's how you said it. And you know what? It's right. It's true. The older you get, the more you realize that. So I am choosing to believe, in my case, that this refund was facilitated by the way I approached the seller. I didn't demand anything. The first email, I didn't even ask for anything. I was just pointing out what I had seen, showed him the pictures, the video. He looked at it and came to the same conclusion that I did. Okay, again, it could be because of the channel. And that I am totally willing to accept that is a possibility. But it could have also been the way that I reached out. So, I don't know. I've seen dust-ups on the Facebook groups. I've seen dust-ups on, God knows, on Arborist's site. Seems like that's a requirement. Okay, I'm being a smart aleck. I shouldn't have said that. I see more over there than I have ever seen anywhere else. OPE, somewhat. House of Homelight, we don't play that crap, If there's a bunch of snark around there, it's going to get removed, and I talk to the folks that are involved in it. And to be perfectly fair, 5 years, I think, since I've had to delete a post or a thread that, was all jacked up with snark and stupidity and all that sort of stuff. So, I don't know. I just think how you go about something really matters. So the next time you have an issue with somebody on eBay, go at it the way you would want somebody to come at you. Give it a try. And then if they let you down, I guess then you go in with guns blazing. But I don't know. Maybe that's a unrealistic or Pollyanna version of looking at things, but I do still believe, by and large, if you treat folks the way you yourself would like to be treated, there's a higher likelihood of a better result. So I'll leave it at that. So, the second half of this, what am I doing? Well, you know what? I've got two folks who are viewers of the channel that have offered out some massive help on this. There is a XL-904 part saw that is on its way that I know for a fact all of those parts will bolt onto lickety-split, no problem whatsoever. There's also an XL-925 crankcase that's on its way that almost everything will bolt on. There is a difference. When you look at the IPLs up through the 904, and I did not look at the 913 and 914, but I'll bet those as well. That ignition backplate is like this one, where you've got a gasket that goes behind it, and you've got those small index pins. Okay, we saw those that I had to drill out or drill the back plate for. When you get up into the 921 and on crankcases, they changed it. They made bigger index pins. There's a bigger mounting flange there. They upsized those bolts, that hold that back plate in to 1/4 inch, and they changed the sealing method to an O-ring. So you've got to, if I use the 925 crankcase, what I will need to do is get and I have one here. I'll have to get out the 921, 923. Yeah, those two used points. And I don't remember the 921. Doesn't matter. There's a back plate that fits that the points, condenser, and coil could all mount to, and then do the O-ring for the seal. So, again, to both members, you know who you are. Thank you very much. I appreciate having the options. I will probably go based on what matches the rest of these body parts cosmetically, and then whichever one doesn't get used on this project, God knows it will get used on another project. So thank you both. I really, really appreciate the help, and I'm looking forward to it. This was so freaking close. I mean, we heard it running, and it was right there, and it is a beautiful saw. Beautiful saw. Beautiful specimen of an 870. And at some point, I don't know if I can find it, I want to dig down the one that I have in the attic and set them side by side. I started a light cosmetic, well, it wasn't light, cosmetic restoration on that one, knowing that I could not get decals. What I was trying to do was paint everything that I could and not destroy the body identifications that I had. So that one that's in the attic, the story on it, I bought it from my neighbor at the time when we moved here. We'd only been here a couple of years. His son, good Lord, when his son passed away, I think he was only 49, just a freak heart attack. And when Red was trying to deal with all the stuff that his son had, I ended up buying that wood splitter from Red, and 2 XL-870 saws. One was a junker, one was the one I ran. That was my first 82cc saw. So I bought that in 2000, let's say 5. I think that's accurate because we bought this place in 2004. Anyway, my dad couldn't believe he had never run anything that big in 82. His, at that point he'd run a 58, the Super XLs that I had around. And when he saw that 870 in action, boy, he was thoroughly impressed with some of the wood that we cut just like that over on the coast, alive or dead. That dead cedar's not that hard, Port Orford cedar, but still, it slows you down compared to live, just like with Doug fir. And oh man, that 870 chewed through so much of that. But when I really got into collecting, I had parts on hand, so I tore that saw down. It had damage on the crankcase too. I think the bucking spike mount was broken. So I'm pretty sure now I've got a 925 crankcase on it because I could find one that was in great cosmetic shape. It already had a 925 throttle handle with the rubber grips, so I renewed that. So it's a bastardized 870. It's not a true 870, and that's why I'm so I'm trying to keep this one as close to original as possible for the collection. And that one, when I did all that cosmetic stuff, I also had a piston and cylinder on hand, new old stock that I put in it. I thought, you know what, this old girl deserves this. It had done a crap ton of firewood cutting for me at that point, and I thought, yeah, if you're gonna sit in the attic in my collection, by God, you're gonna get a heart transplant on this thing. So anyway, I have probably rambled long enough. I just wanted to throw my 2 cents out there about how I think issues with a purchase can go a little bit better. There's always going to be bad situations. They happen. But I do think there are ways to help minimize the likelihood of them happening. And again, if somebody is just a tool, a jackwad, that's why we do have these forums. That's why we do have Facebook. But I think everybody should be given a chance to respond. And even in cases where they choose not to, I can understand somebody who just throws their hands up and leaves a place. I wouldn't do that if it was my reputation that was online. I would be in there fighting to maintain it. But everybody makes their own decisions. So, end of PSA. Hope you guys are having a good one. We will see you on the next video.